let's start with the moles first of all, right? So we all know that mole is basically a quantity, okay? Mole is a quantity which is used to measure amount of a substance, right? So amount of a substance is measured in moles, and since all quantities have units, mole has a unit which is mol, right?
सर जो पिछले साल केमिस्ट्री का एंड ऑफ ईयर था उसमें मोल्स था.
यस था, उसमें मोल्स बिल्कुल था. ठीक
ओके
है,
सर.
तो अब जो प्राइमरी हमारा फोकस है, विल ओनली बी फोकसिंग ऑन 2 ऑफ द मेन कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ द मोल्स. ठीक है, एज पर योर सिलेबस. ठीक है, हम सारा सिलेबस नहीं टच कर रहे, जिसमें से एक चीज़ आपकी आ रही है, वो ये आ रहा है कि 2 फॉर्मूलाज विल बी डिस्कसिंग. द फर्स्ट वन इज
सर मोल्स पूरा नहीं आ रहा.
एक नहीं, mass over molar mass, right? And you can also call it mass over mr, which is relative molecular mass, right? एक तो ये formula, and the second one is moles equals to particles divided by 6.02 into 10 to raise power 23, right? So this number right there, you see, this is Avogadro's constant. ठीक है, Avogadro's constant. ठीक, अब जरा इस चीज़ पे आपने फोकस करना है. Whenever we say particles, okay, first of all we're going to focus on both the formulas, right? लेकिन हम gradually चलेंगे इसको लेके. Whenever we say particles, तो particles का क्या मतलब होता है? Particles can be, let's say, okay, let me just write it down over here for you. Let's say particles can be ions, can be atoms, can be molecules, right? They can be formula units, etc. ठीक है, तो in exam you will see a question from these things. ठीक है, आपको इनमें से क्वेश्चन जो है वो आ जाएगा. ठीक है, अब सबसे पहले let's focus on the first formula that we did, right? That was moles equals to mass over mr. Now let's focus on how to calculate the mr first of all, before we move on to finding the moles, right? So you will see the questions in which you have to figure out what is the relative molecular mass or what is molecular mass. It's very simple actually. So relative molecular mass or molecular mass basically is the sum of atomic masses of all the atoms present in a molecule of a compound, right? Let's say if I need to calculate the molecular mass of water, इसका, ठीक है, I will sum up the atomic mass of hydrogen and atomic mass of oxygen. ठीक है, let's say I will directly go into the periodic table and see hydrogen has atomic mass of 1 and oxygen has atomic mass of 16. ठीक है, इस तरह से आपने देख लेना टेबल के अंदर. They are written like this. ठीक है, I'm just quoting from my memory. You can use periodic table in exam that will be given to you. ठीक है, तो अब हाइड्रोजन को देखो कितना है, 1, but I have 2 hydrogens. I'm going to times it with 2. Plus oxygen का कितना है, 16. So total comes out to be 2 plus 16 equals to 18. ठीक है, in the same way carbon dioxide. ठीक है, so carbon is 6 and 12, right, given in a table, and oxygen is 8 and 16. So I'm going to do in the same way.
So 12 into
16 times 2.
into 2.
कितना आ जाएगा फाइनल? It is going to be 44. ठीक है, बट एग्जामिनर वोंट बी काइंड इनफ कि आपको इतने इजी क्वेश्चंस दे, वो आपको ट्रिकी क्वेश्चंस भी देगा. हाउ विल यू डू दिस? Right, if the atomic masses are like sodium is 1123 and sulfur is 1632. एक चीज़ का ख्याल रखना, atomic mass is the bigger number, right? If you're talking about the electrons and electronic configuration, you will be focusing on the smaller number, which is the proton number. It will give you an idea किसमें कितने electrons हैं if it is a neutral atom. But if you're calculating the atomic mass, make sure you choose wisely कि आपने इसमें atomic mass choose करना है, not the other one.
23 into 2 plus 30 into 4.
23 times 2 plus 32 plus 16 times 4. So what is the final answer? 46 plus 32 plus 16 fours are 64. And what is the final answer? Can someone quickly do it?
142.
142. Right, तो सबसे पहला स्टेप तो आपको ये आना चाहिए while you are finding the moles. You should know how to calculate the relative molecular mass or molecular
So like
mass.
MR फाइंड करने के लिए हम लोग atomic mass लेते हैं.
Atomic mass को सम करते हैं, ठीक है. अच्छा, now let's take another example of the questions which include brackets. ठीक है. Let's say you have to work out for this. ठीक है. How will you do this? अगर आपके पास zinc is 65, nitrogen is 14 and oxygen is 16. ठीक है. So we always try to solve it starting off with the zinc. Let's say zinc is 65. Plus whenever there is a bracket, try to add a bracket to keep it simple. So add a bracket. Nitrogen is 14 plus 16 times 3 and times it with 2. Right? So what do we get? 65 plus 14 plus
Plus
16
48.
3s are 48 and times it with 2 and we're gonna get 14 and 48 कितना आ गया?
62
62
into 2.
times it with 2 and what is
124.
124 plus 65
189.
189. Okay, so this is how you get the answers. ठीक है. अच्छा, in some cases examiner will give you a water of crystallization और आपसे कहेगा कि calculate the moles or calculate the molecular mass like this. Like these are the hydrated salts which have water particles attached to them. ठीक है. अब इस condition में what are you going to do in this case? You will add water molecules into it as well at the end. ठीक है. Let's say we have atomic masses. The copper is 64, sulfur is 32, oxygen is 16 and hydrogen is 1. I believe all these are the values which are needed. ठीक है. So let's start. How can we do this? सबसे पहले copper को let's put for copper, plug in the values, that's it. So 64 plus 32 plus 16 times 4. Dot means plus. Okay, whenever you see dot, that means you have to add the number of water molecules. How many water molecules are there?
5.
5 water molecules. So for one water molecule is 18. So you can do it 5 times 18, okay? So make sure you add this thing. This is from the
18 कैसे आया?
18 कैसे?
water is 18. We just figured out water is 18. देखो water की value भी हमने find किया 18. Okay? So just you have to plug in the value and you will get the answer. Right? Now if you just do it correctly, what is the answer? 64 plus 32 plus 16 fours are 64 plus 90. So add these together. 64, 64 and 132 is going to be 160 plus 90 and 250 is the answer. Okay, so this is a little bit of practice for calculating the relative molecular mass or MR for finding the moles. You will not be able to find the moles unless or until you know this thing. ठीक है, जब आपको ये सही से आएगा करना, then you will be able to do the next step. Okay, let's move on to the other part now. Let's now calculate some of the moles of substances. Okay, we have question number 1. Find the moles of the following. Now we are focusing on finding moles from the given mass, right? For A part, let's do 3 questions for practice and see. Right, 0.76 grams of aluminum sulfate, 1.25 grams of nitric acid, and let's say 3.26 grams of, let's say, copper oxide. You can pause the video and solve this question by yourself, just recording it, right? ताकि बच्चे जो बाकी कर रहे हैं ना, they can get help from it. So try this question. Can you guys do this? If I give you like 5 minutes to do this, we can then tell you our answers. Issue तो नहीं कोई इंशा? इशाल?
नहीं सर सर आप वो बता सकते हैं एटॉमिक मास?
हाँ, sure, why not? अच्छा जी, for aluminum is 27, sulfur is 32, oxygen is 16, nitrogen is 14, hydrogen is 1, and copper is 64.
calculate करने हैं ना.
Remember, you will be using this relation. Moles equals to, what is the formula? Mass over mr. ठीक है? Find the mr first of all. Let's look at the first question. Let's do this together. So we have aluminum sulfate first of all. Very good. For aluminum sulfate, let's find it aluminum sulfate, Al2SO4 thrice. Right? So we have 27 times 2. Plus, whenever there's a bracket, I told you to put a bracket. Then sulfur is 32. Plus, what is oxygen? 16 times 4. 16 times 4, right? So I'm going to put 64 right away. 16 4s are 64, right? So 64 and then times it with 3. Okay, now 27 times 2 is 54, plus add these numbers together, what do we get? 96, and times it with 3. Okay, so 54 plus 96, 3s are 2, 300 minus 12, 288 if I'm not wrong. I'm just doing it mentally, right? आपने double check कर लेना इसको. और add these two numbers. What do we get?
$342.
Okay, 342. ठीक है? So this is going to be the MR, right? Now what you need to do, simply just use this relation, mass over MR. So you're given with the mass, you need to find the moles. So you will be dividing these two numbers, mass 0.76 divided by 342. What is the answer? Mole. Right, this is the answer. And make sure you write down the unit mole. MOL is the unit, right? तो वो लिखते हैं ना साथ आपने.
तो यूनिट का नंबर होता है?
हाँ, they in some cases उन्होंने खुद ही आगे डैश के लिखा होता है. But if it is not written, make sure you specify that this right there is going to be the unit for that. Okay. Try the next question the same way. You have the values.
नाइट्रोजन का बताइएगा. Atomic mass.
हाँ, it is written. ठीक है, वैल्यू वहाँ से ले लो atomic mass की and try this question.
Sir, 63.
We're gonna tell you the answers. What is the answer for the first question? What is the atomic mass of this?
मेरा 63 आ रहा है.
Okay,